Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to ServiceNow Interview Guide. In this video, you are going to understand software asset management in ServiceNow in a very simple way. I will walk you through 10 powerful questions that come up in real interviews and real projects. My goal is to explain each topic so you can remember it, explain it, and actually use it in your own jobs. Okay? So if you stay till the end, you will feel much more comfortable talking about software asset management in front of an interviewer as well as in front of a client. So stay tuned. Let me start with question number one. That is, what is software asset management and why do organizations need it? Very simple, very basic. So let me start with the basic. Software asset management, or SAM, is about control of software in your company. You want to know what software you own, what is actually installed, and what people are really using. Okay. If you don't have this control, your company will either overpay for licenses or accidentally break license rules. Okay. So in ServiceNow, SAM connect data from device, user, and purchase into a clear picture. So you can see if you are compliant, where are you wasting your money, and what you should do to fix it. Okay. So this is in crust about software asset management. So guys, before you move forward, I have a good news to share with you. So in my English channel as well as in my Hindi channel, I have opened the membership, and this membership is there for someone who is looking to learn ServiceNow from scratch. Okay, even though you are not a technical person, but this is for you, and we already have started with various videos with respect to ServiceNow admin. After that, we are going to discuss ServiceNow development, asset management, web services, all the courses which are there to provide a complete foundation for a ServiceNow developer or ServiceNow architect. Okay, so we go in deep in both English and Hindi. So if you want, you can subscribe to our membership, because this is the only platform here in which you see the structured content on the latest release of ServiceNow, that is Australia or whatever comes there. Okay, so I am giving you live demos, I am giving you great examples. Thank you so much. See you soon. Next question. How does SAM in ServiceNow saves money in the real projects? So it's a correct question, because you might ask, how does it actually saving the money? So one bitter truth is, SAM only save money when you act on the data, not just when you turn on the module. Okay. So first, you find users who have softwares they never use, and you remove it with a proper approval. Second, you check if the user really need expensive additions or if a cheaper addition is enough for their work. Third, when the renewals comes, you go into the meetings with a clear usage numbers instead of guessing or overbuying. Okay. So if you repeat these things regularly, all these small actions add up to a serious cost saving over 1 or 2 years of time. Okay. Third question, very important. What is the difference between user-based, device-based, and core-based licensing? Okay. So in interviews, you will almost always get a question about licensing. So let us discuss this in details. With a user-based licensing, you pay per named person, and the person can use the software on many devices. Number two, with a device-based licensing, you pay per machine, and it does not matter how many people log in into that machine and use that software. Okay. Third, with a core-based or processor-based licensing, you pay based on the server's hardware power, like the number of CPUs or cores. Okay. So this is the main difference here. In ServiceNow, you must choose the right license matrix, and you must have the correct data in the CMDB and the user tables. In case if you pick a wrong matrix, your license count might look okay in the tool, but they will be wrong in real audit and renewals, and you may be accidentally paying a lot of money that you should not pay. Okay. So this is all about licensing here. Now move to the next question, which is, why discovery and normalization important in software asset management? Question number 4. So in this regard, you need to be very clear on discovery and normalization. Discovery is how you find software on your laptops, servers, and sometimes on cloud instances. The problem is raw discovery data is usually messy. Okay, so that includes strange names, random versions, and inconsistent publishers. And in this regard, normalization cleaned this up and turned it into a standard product name, correct publisher name, and a neat version value. Okay, so once your data is normalized, SAM can group installations properly and apply the right license rule there. So we can say that if discovery and normalization are weak, you will get beautiful dashboard with the wrong answers. And this is really very dangerous because here you are unnecessarily maybe paying, more dollars and you are taking wrong decisions. Okay. So this is all about this question. Now let's move to the next question, which is how CMDB quality affect SAM accuracy. Okay. So this is another key point that you should mention in interviews, that is CMDB quality. The CMDB is your map of device, server, application, services, and the locations, right? So software asset management uses this map to understand who owns a device, where it is located, and which environment it belongs to. For server products, SAM depends on the correct cores, CPUs, cluster, and relationship between host and the VMs. So we can say if your CMDB data is wrong, your license numbers will also go wrong. Okay. Even if your SAM logic is working correctly, because fundamentals are wrong here, right? Your data source is wrong here. So when you talk about SAM, always say that improving CMDB health is one of the best way to improve SAM accuracy. This is it for this question, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move to the next question, which is, what is license reclamation in ServiceNow? So now let me explain license reclamation because this is a very practical topic. So license reclamation is simply taking back software when people do not really need it anymore. ServiceNow can track when an application was last used and compare it with a rule, for example, not used in 90 days. So when the rule hit, ServiceNow can trigger a workflow. That workflow will ask the user, get approval, and then install the software using deployment tools. Okay, so then the freed license go back into the shared pool. So you can give it to the next user instead of buying a new license there. So it is saving a license cost there. Okay. So this makes SAM feels like smart recycling of expensive software, not just strict policing here. Okay. So this is it about this question. Let's move to the question number 7. How does SAM handle SaaS products like Microsoft 365 and Salesforce? So, most companies today use a lot of SaaS tools. So you must be able to talk about this, right? So for SaaS products, you usually pay per active users and sometimes by roles or subscription plan as well. So in this case, you connect ServiceNow to the SaaS admin portal, or you import the regular license or usage report from there. Once we have the reports, SAM then compare who is licensed, who is active, and who never logs in into it at all. So very often you will find ex-employees, test account, and inactive users still holding the paid seat, but they are not using it right now. Okay. So in this case, cleaning up these accounts is one of the quickest way you can show real saving from software asset management, especially for Microsoft 365 or Salesforce environments. Move to the next question. How does ServiceNow SAM help during a vendor audit? Okay. Auditing is important. That's why audits are a big reason why companies are investing in SAM. So this answer is very important here. Okay. So when the vendor audits arrives, you do not want to rely on random spreadsheet or manual counting, right? With a working SAM setup, you already know your installations and your entitlements for that vendor, right? You can run your own internal reconciliation first, see where you are short or even over, and fix the obvious issues there. Okay. So this is how you can use it. After that, you can share a clean, well-prepared data set with the vendor instead of raw exports, which people are generally doing without SAP, right? So this gives you stronger negotiation power, obviously fewer surprises, and much calmer audit experience. Move to the next question. Move to the next question. What are software suites in SAM and why do they matter? Okay. So now let us talk about software suites because this is a classic SAM scenario. A suite is like a combo pack, okay? One license that cover many different applications. For example, one suite license might include Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other tools together, okay? Remember that Discovery will see these as a separate application, but in SAM, you must map them back into one suite license. If you don't model the suites correctly, you might think that each app needs its own license and your consumption will look very, very high there. Okay, so you have to do modeling very correctly and properly. So we can say that by modeling your suites properly, you keep your compliance and cost numbers realistic and avoid over reporting. And this is what is expected from a SAM expert, right? So now let's move to the last question. What does a mature ServiceNow SAM implementation looks like? Great, a wonderful question to end this video. In interviews, it really helps you if you describe what good looks like. So we can say that in a mature SAM implementation, SAM is a part of everyday work, not just an isolated project. Okay. So new software request goes through a service catalog and the system automatically check the license available before approval. Key vendors are onboarded. Reconciliation rules runs on regular schedule and findings are handled as normal operations. Along with that, there are clear dashboards that show savings, compliance risk, and trends. And leadership can actually use those dashboards for decisions. Okay. So the most important point is people across IT and the business trust the numbers. And big renewals or audit decisions always start with the SAM data, not from guessing. So this is a kind of, a mature implementation of SAM. And this is what it gives after its implementation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Let me know your questions, let me know your doubts, and share the video. Thank you.